This is part 2 of the Suzuki RG250 restoration that we're doing for Mark. There's several little issues now. What we did the first day, and this is the part that's pretty much ready. On the first video, I had to make this very detailed part, and what has to happen is before I go into the final paint on this, I need Mark to bring over the other part and make sure this dovetail fits. Of course, I've done it, what I've done it is by eye, and of course, it looks perfect, but you never know till you go to put it on a bike. This piece, we have a crack. Mark has fixed this in the back with the aircraft fiberglass. The next part of this one, I guess I ought to do this one first. I need to take the bolt out and sand this flat because part of this is that it's sticking up above this. Then I can put the bolt back in and I need to figure out how I'm going to create that edge. I want to do that. This bolt sits below the surface, so we want to try to maintain that nice look. With the bolt out, you can see what Mark has done is fine. It's reinforced the whole area, but we're way above. If I rub my finger here, I'm catching an edge. So what I need to do is get out the power sander and bring this flush. Get this flush before I go on to the step of recreating that bolt receptacle. So I'm trying to work outside here to minimize the dust in the house. I want to get that flat. While I have this off, I'll try to get this flat and try to get some of these stickers off because they're under clear. They basically just have to be sanded off. Now when the stickers are undecleared, there's really only one way to get them off, unfortunately, and that's to sand them off. So we got all the really rough sanding. I think I get down here and get some prep wall or acetone and get the rest of that gummy stuff off. This sticker came off a lot easier, but stickers are really a pain in the neck. They clog up the sandpaper, but it's really the only way to get them off. Now there's a lot of little divots in here that I have to basically do by hand. There's some little pieces of the paint that just need to be flattened out before we can do the body work on this. And what I'll do is, before I do anything else, I want to seal this where this crack is with thin CA. Even though Mark's already done it, what's going to happen is I don't want to get down to where there's almost nothing on there to support it. Because what will happen if you don't do this, you run the risk that it's going to crack again and a year later or whatever. And this is a 2-stroke, so it might be a little more vibration than if you had a 4-stroke. So now the routine is, and this is Brodak thin CA. You want to make sure, number one, you don't get this on your hands. That's a problem. And that's capillary. So what that capillary is going to do, anywhere there's a microscopic hole, it's going to work its way in. It's dry already to the touch, and we're all set on that. That'll hopefully ensure that we're not going to have that re-crack, and it's fiberglassed on the back. So we've got hopefully double protection that that's not going to be a problem. Now the next thing is this edge here where the other piece of fairing joins this. I have a sanding block and I want to get down in there. I want to create that or make it a defined area, even in this part that we recreated. And by the way, what I did with the first video, I put on that little photo show from motorcycles, a lot of them Suzuki RGs, from this area, from this era. I've found the error in my ways. Anyway, a lot of people, younger people, might not have been around. And Walter Wolf Racing, boy, there are some exciting, nice-looking paint jobs there. There's a ton of them, too. So I'm sure Mark will pick something out. I think he's already picked something out. That's this motorcycle, when it's done, is going to be the Walter Wolf black and red version. It's up to him, though. He's the one that writes the big checks. This is another critical thing when you're doing a refinish. And you want this, obviously you want the paint to be as nice as possible, is where the paint wraps around the edge. This is a vulnerable area. This is where it's very prone to chip. You hit a little stone there. So what I always try to do, I always try to tell other people to do, get a good grip on that end. Prime right around the edge. In fact, we'll probably prime the back of this. But get anywhere there's an edge smooth. Takes a little extra time, but you ensure against the paint chipping or peeling, and God, if you put all the hours you do into one of these restorations, to have a stone or whatever ruin your whole day. It's always the edges that are vulnerable. And you've got to keep a radius every time you sand. Keep that radius edge. Now, I'm looking up in here and I'm seeing, what's that? Maybe we can get into that area. The rougher we can get it now, the better the primer is going to stick. And again, a job like this, there'll be probably more than 100 hours of paint work by the time we're done with the whole Walter Wolf and the decals and whatever. But it's just a shame to have it all go bad. And see, as I just said that, here's where the paint chipped, right on the corner. Here's another chip. So you kind of stack the deck in your favor by keeping the edges radius every time you sand the part. Keep that as an important thing. The other thing, the inside radius. Anywhere there's an inside radius, I want to make this even rougher than it is with the 400 sandpaper. I want it to get a good bite down in that valley in there. So what I did, I put the bolt back in. What I'm going to try to do is cut 2 slivers of this tubing. It's just thin wall tubing, and I have it in my scrap collection. And then put that in there, and then Bondo around the edge. So this will give me a nice edge. You won't tend to just touch it with an Allen wrench and a big chunk of paint falls out. Okay, now I'm just waiting for that CA to kick off. Rodak thick CA. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to real quickly go outside, take that the heavy duty sander and try to get this a little level, and then put some Bondo around the corner. It won't be level, it's going to need a little Bondo. But boy, that's going to make a nice little, that edge of that screw is going to look really, really, really nice, I think. Choice one is always, if we have the choice, or if it's possible to do this without Bondo. And what I tried, since I'm not sure if this is going to work the way I have planned, I tried to just fill that gap with thick CA, one thin layer at a time. It looks like it's going to be okay. But I want to get this block sanded down, of course. Once that's block, get some of that dust out of there. Once that's block sanded flat, and we'll be able to move on to the next step. I think that's going to add a nice touch, instead of seeing that big ratty thing that was there before. Now once we get to this point, we're ready for the test the primer on it. There's only one issue that you always have with anything made out of plastic. And the worst plastic that I have ever encountered, that over the years, and I've been doing this for over 50 years, so I have painted a lot of plastic. The old Hondas, old Honda 750s, when they first came out, I used to paint 1 or 2 a week when I had the painting business. And what would happen is, every time the side covers would melt, no matter what primer you used, because it was the thinner back then that was the issue. So I've become like a little gun shy about painting plastic parts. We had some of Luciano's Ducati mirrors melt. Some do, some don't. You never know. But when they do melt, it's always the thinner over raw plastic. So what I've come to try to do, to try to stack the deck a little in my favor, is try to always paint on a very hot day. Let the part sit in the sun and cook and get hot, because you don't want that first coat of primer, and it's that first coat that's the problem. That first coat of primer to penetrate in and turn your part into an alligator. So we're going to put this out in the sun, go have a cup of coffee, and see if it's our lucky day. So I found that Duplicolor, I'm going to get another picture of that can. The primer sealer kind of stacks the deck that you don't melt the plastic, but you still can. So if you're going to use other primer like the self-etch, I'd always put one coat of that on, let it dry. And what's happened, this is a bright sunny day. It's only about 45 degrees out here. But by sitting in the sun, the parts just cook up nice. So today in this session we got one coat of primer on this. I want that to dry. There's going to be some defects in that we're going to have to fix, of course. This is going to dry overnight at minimum. That's all I really can do, because it's pretty much time to get the baby. And knowing that we have these, this was the more difficult of the two, so the next work session we get, I'll work on the other part. But having this in primer, wow. It was a big accomplishment today, and again, the sun is going to cook that primer out here. This actually was a day we could have gone for a ride, but we got to get our grandson. So anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video, and give you some thoughts and ideas, and thanks for watching. Then one final thought I always think about, as messy as these restorations are, and as clumsy as things can be, and when I look back at each one of these bikes has gone through the same process. It's messy, it's dirty, takes up a lot of time, a lot of hours, but in the end you have something pretty special. And again, thanks for watching.